I said I wasn't going to talk about it. I'm sure everybody knows by now that Jehovah Witnesses have been given permission to give a toast, to say cheers at events. But the more I thought about it, I couldn't help but think about witnesses who are sitting there in the Kingdom Hall or at their summer convention this past week and heard the big news. What could be going through their mind? And that's what I want to talk about today. Let's get into it. Hey, and welcome back to Same OT. In today's video, I want to talk about this very low hanging fruit that the governing body is, throwing out here to these active Jehovah's Witnesses. So let's get started with the newest one, which is now they have been granted permission to be able to toast. And at first it was so comical, right? Because it's like, whoop-de freaking do, right? But as I thought about it and was watching other people's content related to this announcement, I couldn't help but think about, what if I was still a JW and I'm sitting there in the Kingdom Hall and now they have announced that it's okay for me to give a toast or accept a toast or to clink my glass and say cheers. Would this be the straw that breaks the camel's back to make me say, this don't smell right, and I'm calling BS, right? Because you think about it, so this was once considered a bad thing, a negative thing, right? Related to, false worship, pagan, blah, 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 blah. So what has happened? What clarity, came about? And one thing that I noticed that Stephen Letts said was the governing body has decided. Now, I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But I didn't hear him say nothing about Jehovah. It was, the governing body has concluded that our thinking, with this was wrong or what have you. So then guess what? Y'all thinking was probably, wrong all along whenever this rule was implemented. Come on, when somebody is given a cheer or something like that, it's usually some type of joyous kind of occasion, right? Retirement, a wedding, just something acknowledging individuals or maybe, a group of people. And we know that with the Jehovah's Witnesses, they do not want individuals to have no self-esteem, no recognition. Don't thinking highly of yourself. Don't even think, mid-tier of yourself. That's what I feel like this was all about. And so I was just like, how many witnesses will wake up this week? How many witnesses heard that, left the Kingdom Hall or their summer convention and got home and just thought about these last, few months, or I can't remember when they announced about the pants and the beards. I think it's been within the last year, maybe year and a half, all this stuff. And then to find out it's okay now for you to say a small toast and wish somebody well, right? And then it's like, and is it, because they always give you one little, asterisk, right? Following the footnote. I think he said something along the lines like, if the occasion is appropriate. Like, it's just pure shenanigans. So when you think about it, right, I'm looking at these pictures and I'm just thinking to myself, if these same brothers had decided they was going to grow out a beard for whatever reason, right? Because they got skin conditions or they just like, I look better with a beard, right? If they had just done this a few years ago, they would have been marked as what? Spiritually weak. You already know, right? Worldly. To really call it what it is, right? Not a spiritual man. Don't even think about having no privileges with that hair on your face. But now it's fine. Like, really? Okay. So now what I found interesting in these pictures, not every sister had on a pantsuit. So let me be clear there. And so it was still women wearing their, Sunday's best as far as dresses and skirts and things of that nature. So I was wondering to myself, how many people in the congregation are judging sisters who have decided, oh, I'm wearing pants every chance I get. Do you feel more spiritual because you're still wearing a skirt or a dress? Do you think that make you a better witness, a better woman, in the kingdom hall? It's all shenanigans, because the people that we're looking at, they older than me, and I'm 50 years old. And I'm looking at these men, and I'm like, y'all let these jokers up in New York and these jokers right here in your congregation tell you whether you could have facial hair or not. That's when you really, sit down and think about it, that's deep. That's really deep. So for the people who sat there and heard this new light, right, this week, I wonder, especially somebody who may have been counseled, because maybe they found out they gave a toast, or maybe they gave a cheers. I think about people who might have been counseled about that. What about men who have been counseled about wearing a beard or a goatee, right? Give you a little bit of a story time. We had a bunch of brothers who had the soul patch, right? That little Eddie Murphy little piece under the chin, nothing crazy, to the point where you didn't even realize that they had it, because, everybody kind of had it, right? Elders had it, right? And this one circuit overseer, we got a new circuit overseer, he came in, he cleaned up shop. He said, cut it off, it's too much like a goatee. And I kid you not, that Sunday when he gave the big talk, all the men was just straight mustache. And I remember thinking, like, it's a little piece of hair under the bottom lip, but they all cut it off, because this man who rotates around here a couple of times a year told them that's too worldly. Cut it off. Like, what? And these were good and grown men. These ain't these, sound like they, making people elders younger and younger because they need people. These people who probably was definitely knocking at 50 plus, and they stopped wearing it. And so is that circuit overseer going to come back and apologize to all the brothers that he oversaw, that he made, cut their soul patch off? I doubt it. Right? Now let's talk about women in pants. Plenty of religions, feel that women shouldn't wear pants. Whether it be their regular life, but, definitely when it comes to the religious parts, in participation. So I remember me personally, I think I was kind of going, I think this might have been around the time I was coaching. So I wasn't baptized yet. May have been an unbaptized publisher. But I knew the stance on women shouldn't wear, pants. But me thinking, is it more important that I, go home and change and this and that, and maybe only catch 30 minutes of the meeting? Or is it better that I just come, from work and practice and, catch most of the meeting? So I went with option B. Some people receive me well, in the sense of, I'm glad you put the effort to come and, try to catch the meeting from the beginning. Others, however, looked at me like I came in there with my panties and t-shirt on. Okay? Like, that's what it was given. Now, mind you, I'm a teacher, so it wasn't like I was, looking crazy. But honey, them pants did not sit right with those friends. And it was really mostly the sisters who, gave me the dirty looks and things of that nature. And so I wonder if them same sisters who, turn their nose up at me for coming in there with pants on, And I sat in the back too in the second school. So it wasn't like I marched my butt up to the front, like I was trying to be discreet. They didn't care. How dare you come into the Kingdom Hall for a meeting and have on pants, right? I wonder if those same sisters are the ones rocking, pantsuits now. Just the hypocrisy of it all, given very low vibrations. The governing body is like, as the young people say, playing in people's faces, playing in these JW faces. We gon' dish out a few little crumbs to make y'all feel good. It's unbelievable. I wish I could find somebody who this right here was the final straw. This right here was the announcement that made them say, I'm done with this, because what's next, right? Some people suspect it may be a loosening up in regards to birthdays and things like that. But it's like, I think it's going to continue to be low hanging fruit that they gonna continue to pull and give right back to the JWs. They not gonna birthdays, holidays, blood. Those are they big ones. They can't let go of they big ones. So yeah. I don't know. I don't know what could be next. That's all I got, y'all. Like I said, I wasn't even gonna do any content around this new announcement, but once I saw those pictures of that convention from the congregation I used to be a part of this weekend, it just triggered me. It just triggered me because I was like, this is complete BS. And they just, was grinning and cheesing, just as proud with their beards and their pants. And who knows, they probably went out to dinner afterwards and gave a toast. So just madness, just straight madness. So if there is anybody who ever got talked to because they had a beard or a goatee, or if a sister ever happened to come with pants on, especially if you came with pants and you were studying, let us know what happened and how did they go about telling you that wasn't going to be acceptable as far as continuing your study. And then also, have you been talked to or warned against, giving a speech that sounded too much like a toast? And like I say, I've had experience where I'm thinking to myself, okay, this pretty much was a toast. We just didn't clank, our glasses. But whatever brings you comfort, right? So yeah, be sure to leave a comment if any of those questions apply. If you like this video and content like this, please check out the XJW playlist and give us a like while you're doing that. And come on over here to the Real Ones Tribe and subscribe. We have a good time over here. And if you think somebody, especially if they mention something about all this new light making them feel a type of way, please share this video, and so that they know you are not crazy. You are waking up. That's what that feeling is. And so until the next time, I'm out. Peace.